Let's bring in former White House Chief of Staff for President Trump, Mick Mulvaney, and host of the Aggressive Progressive podcast, Chris Hahn. Gentlemen, good morning.
Morning.
Chris, I'm just going to go ahead and start there with you on this one there. We're just hours away from President-elect Trump's news conference. Friday's sentencing likely will come up in his notes that he'll mention. Will going on the offensive help Mr. Trump as he mounts his appeal?
No, look, I think Donald Trump should stop talking about it. This is a dumb thing at this point. There's not going to be any real sentence. There's not going to be a fine. Whatever judgment they have is going to be suspended. I think they're doing this to respect the jury that, wasted 6 weeks of their lives last summer hearing this case. So I think they should stop. And Mick, I think you need to tell Donald Trump that if Canada came into the United States, whatever amount of senators they had would be Democrats, that they are, even the most conservative Canadian is more liberal than the most liberal American, at least average American. Somebody should point that out to him, and that it would expand a Democratic majority in this country.
Mick?
Look, talking about Canada, I guess we'll go straight there. I think what folks are missing, Nick and Chris, is that since Trump made that comment, look, no one really believes that Canada is becoming the 51st state. And the fact we're talking about it, I think, makes me sort of smile. But there's something serious did happen, which is since Donald Trump made that comment, Canada has lost its prime minister. The prime minister resigned in part because of the domino effect of that conversation that began a couple of weeks ago. That's the kind of, this is how Donald Trump works. This is how he sort of
the tariffs too.
Well, the tariffs too, but all the relationship with Donald Trump was a big deal. Donald Trump, through various ways, has managed to replace or at least remove the Prime Minister of Canada. I think that's the real story here, not whether or not they're going to become the 51st state. Chris is right. They're not going to become the 51st state, and all of them would be Democrats, I would suppose, or at least most of them when they came in. But that's not the conversation. The conversation is, how does Donald Trump work in order to get his policies sort of advanced when it comes to dealing with foreign nations? And he played a card that I don't think anybody saw coming on dealing with Canada.
And it's clear.
I mean, look, Trudeau had been prime minister. He'd been prime minister for almost 10 years. I mean, that's enough, right? I mean, and in a parliamentary system, 10 years is actually a pretty good run. So, good for him. He's stepping down. He's still young. I think he'll probably take us out as commentators because he's much better looking than either one of us. So.
Well, Chris, I don't want to belabor the point on Justin Trudeau, but this seems to be a rather precipitous fall from grace in the last 2 years.
Yeah, look, again, like the parliamentary system, I don't pretend to understand, all the politics of it. But it usually relies on a coalition government. And the smaller your majorities, including these coalitions, are, and the more disparate parties you need to bring into your coalition to govern, the harder it is to hold on to power. And we've been in a cycle on this entire planet since COVID of throw the bums out. And it's amazing he survived this long, considering what's been going on all over the world, where parties have just been toppled in country after country after country. In England, it was the Conservative Party that was thrown out. In other parts of the world, it was their more liberal parties that were thrown out. So Justin Trudeau actually did a pretty good job surviving this long in this climate of throw the bums out around the world.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. Also, don't forget to click that red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.